ویدیو فارسی تقدیم می کند.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له.
من مسلمانم.
شما خیلی خوش اقبال هستید که مسلمان به دنیا آمده اید. با این کلمات عثمان داستانش را برای ما خلاصه نموده است. جان ما را به روزهای کودکیش باز می‌گرداند. یاد آن روزی که یکی از همکلاسی‌هایش را در مدرسه دید که از شدت بیحالی و خستگی به زمین افتاد. چرا؟ زیرا او یک مسلمان روزدار بود. اینجا بود که جان از معلم خیش در مورد اسلام پرسش نمود، ولی او نمیدانست که این کودک سبب خواهد شد که او دعوتگر اسلام شود و از اسلام چیزهایی را بداند که خیلی ها نمیدانند.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته. My name is Uthman Bari. I was born 58 years ago in Birmingham, England, of Irish Catholic parents. My parents called me John, by which name I was known, and really my life has three stages. One, looking for Islam, the other one, finding it, alhamdulillah, and the third one, moving out here to the Gulf.
جون در ایرلند از پدر و مادری مسیحی به دنیا آمد و زندگیش را با کار کردن همراه پدرش در یکی از مزرعه ها شروع نمود. او فقیر بود و معنی راحتی را نمی‌فهمید. او نواختن یکی از آلات موسیقی را یاد گرفت تا آتش خود را با آن شبنشینی‌های زرق و برقدار که سرشار از تمام گونه‌های طغیان بر زندگی بود اشباع کند، بدون اینکه در جلو خیش چیزی غیر از به دست آوردن لذت‌ها را ببیند.
من مسلمانم.
My search for Islam began due really to dissatisfaction. I was not happy in the Western society. I used to be a musician, not first class, but I was a musician playing saxophone. And I discovered that the life, was mostly entertaining drunks in nightclubs, and it wasn't satisfying. I went on holiday when I was 19 to Morocco. Went to Tangiers and Tetuan and places, and I met Muslims, Arabic-speaking Muslims, French-speaking Muslims, and they began to explain to me about Islam.
در یکی از آن روزها او به سفر رفت. در روزی که برای وی مانند روزهای دیگر سال بود به کشور مغرب رفت، ولی او نمیدانست که این روز یکی از روزهای ماه مبارک رمضان است، بزرگترین روزهای سال نزد مسلمانان. و اینجا بود که جون آن کودک روزدار در مدرسه را به یاد آورد. همیشه صدای اذان مسجد او را در جای خودش میخکوب میکرد. مسلمانان را میدید که نماز تراویح خوانده و قرآن تلاوت میکنند. او از خودش میپرسید چطور ممکن است این همه مسلمان پشت سر یک امام واحد جمع شده و همگی و یک صدا الله اکبر بگویند.
In Morocco I met Muslims really for the first time in any number, and when I was there it was Ramadan. This was 1969. I saw people fasting, I heard them praying Tarawih, and I heard the adhan, and I knew that Allah meant God and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the prophet of God. This much I knew, but nothing else did I know about Islam. I saw the Moroccan society then, although it's changed a little now, but I saw the Moroccan society had some very good points. One was there was very little drinking. A lot of my family were heavy drinkers, and they lost their business, they lost their marriages through drinking. So I saw that most of the Moroccan Muslims, they didn't drink. They protected their women. I had 3 of my sisters, 3 of my 4 sisters, their hearts broken by handsome rascals leading them astray at the disco. So I saw that in the main, the Moroccans or the Muslims in general, they protected their women from strangers. And I saw also a system where they really thought about God and the last day, that it was a reality in their lives.
من مسلمانم.
سلام گفتن در آن جامعه سنتی بیشترین چیزی بود که جون آن را دوست می داشت. سلام دادن در بین مردم انتشار داشت و همه به همدیگر سلام می دادند و هر کسی به دیگری احترام می گذاشت و او را به تعجب وامی داشت زمانی که آن احترام ها در احترام گذاشتن به شخصیت زن متجلی می گشت، برعکس آن چیزی که در کشور اصلی خیش از بی احترامی به عموم بشر و زنان به طور خاص دیده بود. جون به ایرلند برگشت و سوالهایی در ذهن داشت که تحمل ندانستن جواب آنها برایش خیلی سنگین بود. بنابراین شروع به پرسش و جستجو نمود و البته خیلی وقتها به جواب دست پیدا نمی کرد. کتابی را خرید که در آن به اسلام حمله شده بود. دوباره برگشت تا تفسیر قرآن کریم را بخرد. جون میگوید قرآن خیلی مرا شگفت زده کرد. او با تمام آنچه که از قبل به دستم رسیده بود فرق می کند. هیچ کتابی وجود ندارد که بتواند مانند قرآن عقل را مورد خطاب قرار دهد. هیچ کتابی مانند قرآن وجود ندارد که هنگامی که آن را میخوانی احساس کنی تو را مورد خطاب قرار داده و در آن داستانهایی از گذشتگان و پیامبران وجود دارد که باعث می شود همیشه مشتاق تلاوت قرآن باشی. و آنچه که باعث می شود من خیلی روی آن متمرکز شوم این است که قرآن از عیسی علیه السلام بیشتر از محمد صلی الله علیه و آله و سلم نام میبرد و از مریم در یکی از سوره های قرآن به طور کامل سخن به میان می آورد.
So the main problem with me in Morocco that I didn't speak Arabic and my French was very limited. So I tried to ask some questions about Islam. I had many questions, but some answers I got and some things I could understand. But I needed to buy a translation of Quran. And when I went back to England, I was living in England at the time. When I went back to England, that's what I did. I bought a translation of the Quran and I began to read about it. And I was amazed to find it was very different. The Quran was very different from any book I'd ever heard of. It was very different from the Bible. It was very different from any kind of book. And it seemed that the book was talking to me. You know, it would tell about stories about the prophets of old and the people of old, but very often it felt like the book was giving me advice. So I found it very attractive, but the dunya, you know, the life of this world, it dragged me away for many years more. I retained a liking for Islam and I had some Muslim friends, but I went back to playing the saxophone. I couldn't find anything else to do. And really I kind of drifted away. Later to come back after I got married and had children, I started to take life a bit more seriously. And by the grace of Allah, I had an alternative profession. I went back to what my father used to do. I was farming. He had a small dairy farm in Ireland, very small, and I began there to change my life. I met the Muslims in the Dublin Masjid. Dublin is the capital of Ireland. I met the Muslims there in Dublin, and I found a big mix, international mix. There were Algerians, Libyans, Egyptians, Pakistanis, Malays.
من مسلمانم.
پس از تحقیق و جستجوی زیاد او در مورد اسلام، جون دوستان مسلمان زیادی پیدا کرد که در کشورش با آنها در ارتباط بود. کسانی که به دلیل تحصیل در انگلستان جامعه اسلامی کوچکی را تشکیل داده بودند. او هر روز چیزهای بیشتری از اسلام می‌فهمید و پس از مدتی با زنی انگلیسی ازدواج نمود که در یکی از همان روزها همسر وی نیز اسلام آوردن خیش را اعلام نمود. بنابراین قلب جون نیز برای پذیرش اسلام باز شد و فرزندانش نیز از او پیروی نموده و همه خانواده وی مسلمان شدند. یکی از دوستان وی که شیخ بود اسم جدید وی را اعلام نمود، عثمان باری، و کار جدیدی هم در یکی از مزرعه هایی که در دوران کودکی همراه با پدرش در آن کار میکرد پیدا نمود. عثمان خیلی تلاش کرد تا خانواده‌اش را به سوی اسلام دعوت کند، ولی تعصب شدید پدرش دیدگان او را از دیدن حقیقت دین جدید عثمان کور ساخته بود و مبادرت به طرد عثمان از خانه نموده و از دیدن وی تا هنگام مرگ خودداری نمود. مادر عثمان او را بسیار دوست داشت، ولی همیشه هر چیزی را که در مورد دین جدید وی میشنید را انکار میکرد. همچنین دو خواهرش نیز اینگونه بودند. هیچ یک از اعضای خانواده او اسلام را نپذیرفتند مگر یکی از برادرانش که به دست او مسلمان شد.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Nur Sarina Bari. I'm a Filipina, a convert to Islam, and my family are not Muslim. So I pray to Allah that Allah will give me a nice husband, and by the grace of Allah, I met my husband Uthman Bari, and then we got married. Now we have 2 children. Alhamdulillah. I find my husband a good Muslim, a good provider, and he's looking after me and my children, alhamdulillah. And you know, he's a big factor to me that he's working in Discover Islam. And from there, I grew up my iman, and alhamdulillah, now I'm helping my husband to do the dawah and training a new Muslims.
من مسلمانم.
My family didn't like me becoming a Muslim. My father, he never ever spoke a word to me till the day he died. He thought I'd become some kind of a terrorist, you know. He didn't understand, and he wouldn't let me explain to him. That was the difficulty. My mother and father were both very strong Catholics, and they were inflexible. They wouldn't listen, and they refused to accept my change of religion. My mother kept some company with me. I mean, we stayed in touch, but she hated that I spoke about Islam. She used to say to me that your father was a better man than you. He never changed his religion. You shouldn't change your religion. And I tried to explain, but it was emotional. She was emotional. My brothers and sisters are typical of modern English people in that they don't really care about religion at all. They're supposed to be Christians, but they never pray, they never go to the church. They're just looking for money and spending it, you know, that is their religion. They're not evil people, and I'm still in touch with them. but they didn't accept Islam. However, when we came out here to the Gulf, my wife, my then wife, my former wife, my ex-wife, English woman, she wanted to go back to England. So we ended up in arguments, we divorced. She went back to England with the children, and I remarried. I married a Filipino lady. This was about 16 years ago now. I married a Filipino lady, Filipino Muslima, convert to Islam. And we have 2 children, and we've been living here in Ajman in the Gulf for the last 16 years.
عثمان میگوید بسیار به درگاه خداوند دعا میکردم تا زندگی کردن در یکی از کشورهای اسلامی را برایم فراهم نماید. سفرهای زیادی کردم تا اینکه خداوند به من و خانواده‌ام توفیق داد تا در کشور بحرین مستقر شوم. شغلی پیدا کردم و شروع به تحقیق در مورد معانی اصلی اسلام نمودم. اینکه اسلام چیست؟ ماهیت آن کدام است؟ و شروع به تجزیه و تحلیل و تحقیق سلسله وار کردم. زیرا بنده اکنون هر غیر عرب زبانی را که میافتم اسلام را به آنها عرضه کرده و هر آنچه از سوالات و پرسش هایی که در مورد حقیقت اسلام، شکوه و جلال آن که به ذهنم خطور می کرد را برایشان روشن می ساختم.
My ex-wife, she's still a Muslim but we're no longer married. My ex-wife actually accepted Islam before me, and she came back from one visit to Dublin wearing her hijab and praying. So I found that very encouraging, naturally. And our children, our 3 children, they accepted Islam and were praying very easily. This was the beginning of my Islamic life for me. Now, I thought I must try to come and live in a Muslim country. I prayed to Allah to make this possible for me, because I felt living in Britain, in England or in Ireland was very difficult, not so much for me but for my children, that if I wanted my children to be Muslims, I needed a more Islamic environment. So, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, Allah made it easy for me. I came to Bahrain in 1990. I had a job there as a worker in a dawah center, and I began to study my religion more and to get some practice explaining to non-Muslim English speakers what Islam is really about, because many of them are confused. They don't know what is Islam, or if they're attracted to Islam, to show them how they can become Muslims, how they can put it into practice.
من مسلمانم.
عثمان میگوید هنگامی که به امارات آمدم مدت زمانی به تنهایی به عنوان یک دعوتگر اسلام شروع به کار کردم. سخنران تازه مسلمانان و دعوتگر جمعیت دارالبر شدم و برنامه‌هایی را در تلویزیون شارجه برای انگلیسی زبانها اجرا می کردم و خداوند را بسیار سپاس می گویم که هر روز حجم زیاد اسلامگرایی را می بینم. می دانم که هر کس حقیقت این دین را بداند امکان ندارد که آن را قبول نکند.
So really the latter part of my life, because I'm almost 60 now, is here in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. I'm working for Sharjah TV. I do a weekly program in Sharjah TV, and I also work as a da'i, or explaining about Islam to English-speaking people for the Jamia Dar al-Bir. They are like a charity here, and we publish books in English and we arrange lectures in English, because here in the UAE is a very special place. There are so many foreigners, I think more foreigners than nationals. There are 60,000 English in Dubai alone, then there are many Americans, Germans, a lot of people who speak English. But the majority of people coming to Islam are from the Philippines. Now, why that is, only Allah knows. But we know from the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He often guides poor people. He often makes the ones who accept Islam from amongst the poor class of people.
عثمان فرزندش خالد را برای تدریس علوم دینی و حدیث به زبان عربی به عربستان سعودی فرستاد.
Ya Khalid, salam alaikum. How are you, my son? It's good to hear your voice. Yes, I'm fine, alhamdulillah. I'm fine. How's the family? How are my grandchildren? Yeah, I was just thinking about you, I thought I'd call you. Everything all right there in Jeddah? Yeah, I miss you, man, sure. I miss you a lot. I miss all of you. Inshallah, this year we'll come for Umrah again and we'll see all of you. How's your mom? Okay. Your sisters? Yeah, give them all my salams and, tell them to keep in touch. You can even email. Right. The job going well? Yeah, I understand. Okay. All right, my boy, we'll be in touch, huh? Thinking of you. Assalamu alaikum. Children, I hope, inshallah, will continue dawah work after me, after I'm in the ground. My eldest son, Khalid, is a graduate of the Medina University, Islamic University, and he lives in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, as do a couple of other children. These are from my English wife. They are mostly Arabic speakers. Most of my grandchildren speak Arabic as a first language now, so I have difficulty talking with them sometimes. But they are happy here, and they are also, it seems to me, convinced of Islam and will carry on the work after I'm gone. So this is really what I wanted. I'm very grateful to Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He guided me out of the darkness of Western life and my, intoxication and all the other sinful things I was doing, brought me to Islam and helped me to educate my children in Islam and as basic Muslims at least. And that I live my life amongst the Muslims here in the UAE, and I never ever miss England or Ireland, never. I'm happy here, my friends are here, most of my family are here now. So this is the purpose. And all of us Muslims, we should try and practice Islam as best we can and to teach it to others. This is part of being a good Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said to Uthman ibn Affan, who related it, that the best of you, خَيْرَكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَالْعَلَمَ, that the best of you is one who learns the Quran and teaches it to others. So if all of us do this, and millions of Muslims, if all of us do this, inshallah, it will bring about a change in the ummah. People will accept Islam in bigger numbers and see the truth and beauty of Islam, that it's really something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, has given us to make us happy, to guide us in life so we don't make mistakes, so that inshallah we can live a peaceful life here and in the hereafter go to eternal paradise. Amen.
او میگوید تمام آرزویم این است که فرزندانم آنچه که من شروع کردم را به پایان رسانند و تلاش کردم هرچه را خودم از دست دادم در اختیار آنها قرار دهم. اکنون نوه‌هایی دارم که زبان مادریشان زبان عربی می باشد و این چیزی است که خیلی دوست دارم آن را یاد بگیرم. الحمدلله آنها می توانند قرآن کریم را به زبان عربی بخوانند. به خدا سوگند اگر معانی آیات قرآن را به خوبی درک می کردیم، خداوند را آنطوری که حق اوست عبادت می کردیم، بهترین اخلاق را می داشتیم.
سبحان الله والحمد لله واللا
من مسلمانم.